This content is brought to you in association with my buddies over at Jam Jam Cards UK. You can find the links to the eBay store and the Facebook page in the description. Hi guys, it's Joe here from Rufioh. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. You should definitely hit subscribe and the notification bell before you go any further and realise how fucking garbage this content is. And if this is not your first time on the channel, welcome back, you absolute fucking loser. But in any case, thank you very much for coming along. I do appreciate you being here. So for today's video, we have a how to play video. That's right, it's one of these nonsense videos where we run down the very basics you need to know for a specific archetype. You're not going to walk away an absolute expert at any subject, but it might make you better equipped to play against the deck or just give you a very basic rundown of what you need to know to get started to play yourself. And today we're taking a look at Flundereeze, a deck due to come out in Burst of Destiny, not too far in the future, at least at the time of recording, although it may have come out by the time you're watching this in the future. We'll be doing a quick rundown of what the deck is, what it does, what cards are in the deck itself. We've even got some sample deck lists in here for you to have a go at as well, just to give you a basic rundown of things you could try out and see for yourself. Now, if you are watching today's video and you're feeling inspired to pick up some Yu-Gi-Oh singles, check out a link in the description to the channel sponsors Jam Jam Cards UK. If you go ahead and use that and use Rufioh 15, you'll get 15% off your order. But anyway, that's enough waffling on from me. Let's get stuck into the video. Flundereeze is an archetype due to debut into the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG in Burst of Destiny, which is slated for release in early November 2021, but is already out in the OCG. The archetype is made up of wind and water attribute winged beast monsters, and the name is a play on the words of fluffy, wonder, and breeze. Obviously, we're going on the OCG name here, since at the time of recording the name isn't actually confirmed for the TCG. On each of the monster cards for Flundereeze, you can see the three main Flundereeze birds, which is based on a family of birds known as the Arctic Tern, which travel primarily to the colder regions of the world, travelling a variety of locations, such as those seen in the artwork for Mysterious Map. The archetype focuses on normal summoning multiple times per turn and getting the benefits from doing so. Each level 1s have effects that trigger on normal summon resolution that allow the player to normal summon another winged beast monster. This of course continues, gaining advantage of flooding the field, eventually tributing these off to summon one of the boss monsters which floodgate the opponent in some way or another. There's a secondary focus on the deck banishing cards. Keep those Lanciers handy. The level 1s are banished if they leave the field, but once they're banished they can return themselves to the hand if another winged beast is normal summoned. This means of course tributing them off for one of the bosses means that you can replace your hand and give you another line of play for the following turn. Generally speaking though, the main aim of the deck is to lock the opponent down by tributing into the main level 10 boss monsters who specialise in countering the special summoning mechanic. The spell and trap support for the deck is pretty diverse and offers plenty of support by adding consistency to the deck, pushing the normal summoning mechanic, including during the opponent's turn, and it searches cards, starts combos, gains drawing power, and even uses the opponent's cards as tribute fodder. It even has a spooky as fuck counter trap which yeets an opponent's special summon. Now this does give them the ability to normal summon 3 times during that turn, but prevents them from special summoning further to this, which for the majority of decks can safely be described as getting cucked. Flundereeze largely prevents the player from special summoning since the level 1s lock them out, so the deck doesn't really rely on the extra deck. This does mean that the deck can abuse cards such as Duality, Prosperity, Dogmatic Punishment, the Monarch support, and more. The deck can also easily search out and subsequently normal summon Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds during the opponent's turn. The deck can also easily search cards like DD Crow to give it another interrupt, not to mention the cards it contribute for in the opponent's turn such as the Cymorg monsters. Now in terms of how competitively viable the deck will be, it's difficult to say. It did have a nice uptick in play in the OCG upon release, as well as a reasonable amount of interest, and although this has largely dropped off, it does still sit on the fringes of the OCG metagame. Now it's worth noting that much like our own at this time, the format is pretty diverse, with the best decks being leagues below what we traditionally see. So whilst it may only get in 1 or 2 spots at the top tables, it does also fall into being diluted along with a vast majority of other decks, each getting a similar amount of representation. For the next part of the video, we're going to be doing a rundown of the Flundereeze cards. The names used here are based on their translations from the OCG, so naturally these may not be 100% accurate once they are released. Since you're all presumably Yu-Gi-Oh players and as such likely to suffer a brain aneurysm if you're made to actually fucking read something, I'll be reading through all of these for you in a somewhat shortened manner, so do keep an eye on the screen for the translated effects. Flundereeze Toucan. If it leaves the field, banish it. Each of the following effects is a hard once per turn, and you can't special summon during the turn you activate either of them. If it's normal summoned, you can add a banished Flundereeze card to your hand, then you can immediately normal summon one Wing Beast monster. If a Wing Beast is normal summoned whilst this is banished, you can add this card to your hand. Flundereeze Stritch. If it leaves the field, banish it. Each of the following is a hard once per turn, and you can't special summon during the turn you activate either of them. If it's normal summoned, you can target and banish a card in either player's graveyard, then immediately normal summon a Wing Beast monster on resolution. If a Wing Beast monster is normal summoned whilst this is banished, you can add this card to your hand. Flundereeze Robina. If it leaves the field, banish it. Each of the following is a hard once per turn, and you can't special summon during the turn you activate either of them. If it's normal summon, you can search a level 4 or lower Wing Beast, and then on resolution immediately, you can normal summon another Wing Beast. If a Wing Beast is normal summon whilst it's banished, you can add this card to your hand. Flundereeze Snowl. Once per turn, if you control this tribute summon card, you can conduct 3 normal summons or sets this turn. While you control this tribute summon card, all monsters you control gain piercing battle damage. Quick effect, once per turn, you can banish a card from your hand to change all opponent's special summon monsters into face down defense position. Flundereeze Eaglin. If it leaves the field, banish it. Each of the following is a hard once per turn, and you can't special summon during the turn you activate either of these effects. If it's normal summoned, you can add a level 7 or higher Winged Beast from your deck to your hand, and immediately after this resolves, you can normal summon a Winged Beast monster. If a Winged Beast is normal summoned whilst this is banished, you can add this card to your hand. Flundereeze Empen. If it's tribute summoned, you can add a Flundereeze spell or trap from your deck to your hand, then immediately normal summon one monster. While you control this tribute summon card, your opponent cannot activate the effects of attack position special summon monsters. Once per battle, during damage calculation, quick effect, you can banish a card from your hand, then the opponent's monster's current attack or defense becomes halved until the end of the turn. Now that does conclude a list of our existing monsters for the Flundereeze. Next up is spells and traps. Flundereeze and the Unknown Wind. You can tribute for a 2 tribute monster by sending one monster on each side of the field to the graveyard instead of tributing. This is still treated as a tribute summon. During your main phase, you can reveal up to 2 Wing Beasts in your hand, put them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and then draw that many cards. Each of these effects is a hard once per turn. Flundereeze and the Mysterious Map. During your main phase, you can reveal a level 1 Flundereeze in hand, then banish a Flundereeze card with a different name from your deck. Then on resolution, normal summon the revealed monster. If your opponent normal summons, you can immediately, on this card's resolution, normal summon a Flundereeze monster. Each effect is a hard once per turn. Flundereeze and the City of Dreams. During the main phase, immediately on resolution, you can normal summon a level 4 or lower Winged Beast. If you tribute for a level 7 or higher whilst this is in your graveyard, you can banish this and then change all your opponent's monsters into face down defense position. Each effect is a hard once per turn. Flundereeze and the Scary Sea. When your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters while you control a face-up tributed monster and no special summon monsters, negate the summon and bounce the monster to the hand. Also, they can't special summon for the rest of the turn, but they are allowed to conduct 3 normal summons or sets this turn. And you can only use a copy of Scary Sea once per turn. And that is a full list of the current known Flundereeze cards. Again, fully expect some additional support in the near future, but so far that's all we've got. For this next part of the video, we'll be discussing the kind of cards you could look to add to your repertoire, whether it's engines, one-off support, or cards with just good synergy with the deck. First off, let's start with the Simorgh monsters, or, well, Simorgh support in general, but monsters primarily. The Simorgh cards can make for a really neat addition to this deck, especially since there's some good options for causing Floodgate-esque effects or interruption. Naturally too, they're mostly wind attribute Winged Beast, so make of that what you will. Winged Beast support. This is largely self-explanatory. There are some lines blurred between this and Simorgh support, but I wanted to make a more general point about the Wing Beast options. Cards such as Icarus Attack and the Barrier Statue of Stormwinds can be great options to consider. Monarch support. Again, blurring the lines. We have cards like Riser, which tick multiple boxes, but able to offer an interrupt that doesn't need to be special summoned. On top of that, we have no real need for the extra deck, so cards like the Monarch's Erupt and the Monarch Stormforth are great options to consider. Floodgates. Ah yes, everybody loves a good Floodgate. Let's encourage people to play them. Well, there's some more blurred lines here because these kind of fall into that Monarch support as well, for the most part. As mentioned earlier, the Monarch's Erupt is a solid option for the deck, but you can also employ other Floodgates such as Rivalry of Warlords, Dimensional Fissure, and Summoning Curse are the sorts of salt-inducing options that you might want to consider. Now, this of course isn't an exhaustive list of support. There's plenty more, and some of them you'll be able to see in the deck lists at the end of this video. It's just to give you some ideas of things you might want to look at when you're building your deck. Now, for this final part of the video, we're going to be doing some sample deck lists. The idea here isn't to give you something that you can take away and it's just going to immediately work and be absolutely insane. They're not super tried and tested. This is basically just here to give you some ideas of cards you might want to use, some ratios and that kind of thing. You could basically take these, take them for some testing, see how you get on before you go ahead and purchase the cards or get stuck into them. Of course, at the time of release, there's a little bit of time before these actually come out, so you're not going to be able to get your hands on them just yet anyway, but we know there are some online simulators you can use which might give you some ideas of things to try out.